Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Little Give. Today we have Daniel on. I'm excited to peel back the layers of him and his story. Go ahead, Daniel, introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what you're all about.
Hi, Cindy. I'm so glad to be with you today. I am the president and co-founder of Pieces of Me Foundation, which I know we're going to get into. I'm also somebody who has lived life as an individual who's blind and with other disabilities. And my purpose in life, I think, is to help people realize that regardless of your characteristics or circumstances, there's still a reason for hope, and there's still a lot of good left in the world, and we can work together to amplify that good. So I'm just thrilled to be here with you today.
Oh my goodness, I'm thrilled to be here with you and grateful to feature you. And I'm so excited about all the things you're doing. Talk to us a bit about what got you started with everything that you've decided to do to make the world a better place.
So, as I mentioned, I was born blind. I was also diagnosed with a connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome in adulthood, something else I was born with. And I have spent all of my years being told everything I can't do and learning to adapt to a world that was not designed with me in mind. And somewhere along the way, I think I learned that I could create real power by taking those stories and experiences and not only using them to push myself as far as I can, but even more importantly, taking them, shining a light on the inequities that exist in the world and saying there are ways that each of us can make a difference to level the playing field and to make sure each person has the opportunity to reach their full potential, and just how greatly everyone benefits when we concentrate on doing that.
I love that. What do you think it was that kind of sparked that in you?
You know, I think there was a point in my life where I realized that I was going to have to choose what I would do with the fuel, what I'd have to do with the times where, I almost lost custody of my first kid because hospital professionals didn't think that a blind father could raise a kid and a blind mother could raise a kid. And other times where I faced injustice and I said, okay, I can't just shove this under the rug. I can't let anger consume me. What am I going to do with these emotions? And I said, okay, I'm going to forgive, but I'm not going to forget, because I'm going to take these experiences and these memories and use them to shine a light on what's happening now so that other people don't have to follow in those footsteps. And then, secondly, I mentioned being diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos as an adult. There came a point where I said, if I'm going to win my battle with chronic pain, it's going to involve me having something to do every day that is so powerful and so motivating that if I have a joint out of socket, if I've got something inflamed, if I'm feeling just like dirt, I can focus on the good I'm able to do. I can focus on serving somebody else instead of the pain, and really narrowing where my mind is going in order to keep myself out of the dumps and hopefully help others along the way.
That's wonderful. It's fantastic how you're able to take your own pain and turn into purpose. And that's one of the things I love to feature on this show is people just like you who said, "Hey, wait, there's something more that can be done here." But I'm sure that took a lot of self-discipline and a lot of self-talk and mindset work to really get yourself in a place to where you had that drive to be able to get to that next level. Talk to us a bit about that journey.
Oh yeah. Not only did it take, it still takes. As we were recording today, I was able to extend my left arm for the first time in 6 weeks because I had a minor dislocation in my elbow. And that's just an example of what EDS does. And yeah, you have to really work on those skills and keep working on those skills. I'm not immune to saying, hey, my elbow won't move. This sucks. I'm still human. But it's about trying to strive for excellence and also giving yourself grace and saying, what we're trying to do is against our natural instincts. So it's a process, a little at a time. Look for ways to serve, look for areas to grow, look for people who are able to support you in whatever way they can. and understand that it's going to be a journey that takes years and is never fully complete.
Absolutely. It's a every day you got to wake up and make the choice again, right? Make the choice.
Yeah.
Keep making that choice every day to do a little better and then try a little harder and work through the pain. And I can only imagine how all of that has affected you over time. But you mastered that somehow, you're getting through it. What was it about you and your personality that made you decide, hey, if I'm able to do this for me, I could help other people as well?
Well, in my own personal journey, I look toward my faith as being core of how I relate to my own body, to my own being, and then also how I relate to my fellow human beings. And then, creating a culture within my organization that welcomes people from every tradition that says, look, if you're able to, look for the good in the world, there's a place for you, regardless of what you believe. I think those two concepts tie together, personally and professionally for me.
I can certainly agree with that. So you decided to take this and turn it into something so much bigger than yourself. Tell us, what was your first step in that process?
Well, my first step in the process was being in a moment where I was getting my butt kicked by life. And I don't say that, blithely. I was in a really bad space mentally in 2019. I was probably at a point where they could have hospitalized me. My depression was so bad, and through a series of events, I was able to have a conversation with my cousin Christy, who eventually became my co-founder for Pieces, and we were talking about the experience she had had as a mother and as a person with an invisible disability herself, and some of the things I had gone through, some things some of my other loved ones had gone through, and we said, okay, we can do something about this here. We can address the underlying issues that prevent people from living their best lives. And, that's where we started saying, okay, I wasn't thinking I was going to start a nonprofit while I was in law school, but this seems to be the time where it needs to happen. Let's move forward.
Hi, my name is Justin Clark, and I'm the president of the board of directors for Driving Single Parents, a 501c3 nonprofit serving the citizens of San Antonio and Bexar County, Texas. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the great work that our organization is doing for the citizens of San Antonio. What you're about to see is just a few photos and videos of the way that we're changing lives for single parents in and around San Antonio, Texas. Our first giveaway took place in April of 2017, just one short month after the formation of our organization. John, a Bexar County resident, was the victim of a horrible drunk driver incident. He and his daughter survived the crash, and we were so proud to give our first car to this deserving family. Fast forward to 2020, a very difficult year for nonprofits. We were able to secure 4 vehicles for single parents in need. Our organization, including our board of directors, list of partners, and portfolio of people we've been able to help in San Antonio, continues to grow, and it's all thanks to donors and local community organizations that have helped us along the way. This giveaway took place in 2021 and shows that we continue to help single parents even after the struggles brought about by COVID-19. Because of limited funds and the overwhelming need, we at Driving Single Parents are incredibly selective with the people we help. Some are victims of domestic violence. Others had a spouse pass away tragically or otherwise fell on hard times. These single parents show adversity in the face of challenge and aren't looking for a handout. We offer a hand up and help get them back in the driver's seat. Many of the single parents we help go on to graduate college, get promotions, get married, mentor others, and some have even been so touched by the gift we gave them that they have decided to join our board of directors to pay it forward and ensure the continued growth of our organization. If you would like to help our organization continue to grow and continue to help single parents in need in San Antonio, Texas, and Bexar County, Texas, we would really appreciate your support. Please visit us online at www.drivingsingleparents.org. Thank you.
That's so awesome. And then right then you just, chat said just a little bit about going to law school. Tell us about that experience, and then we're going to move into Pieces of Me.
Yeah. So let me take you a step back here and say,
Yeah.
I had an experience where I have just enough vision that I was able to read some print if it was magnified, a few inches tall and like 0.96 font or whatever. And so we relied on that until I was almost 18, where I finally learned Braille. And in the midst of that, I actually missed out on grades 7 through 11 completely. Like, they just plumb gave up on educating the blind kid. Was supposed to be homeschooled. That didn't work out for reasons other, just outside of all of this. And so it was assumed, oh man, this kid's going to be lucky if we can help him get his GED. And I fought through getting my undergrad with having some serious mental health issues and a greater onset of my pain. And by the time I was in my mid-30s, had finally graduated, and I had a couple of mentors who said, hey, you're articulate, you're smart, you're a great advocate, why wouldn't you go to law school? I said, you gotta be kidding me. I barely survived undergrad. And I had this list of excuses. What about accessibility? What about chronic pain? What about being able to afford it? What about all these other things? And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I don't believe I'm smart enough to do this. I don't want to fail. And finally, I had that epiphany that said, go do it. Just go try. And a year later, after I had those two mentors approach me about law school, I was in law school with a scholarship. And a year later was starting Pieces. And I have to say this is so important. The inaccessibility was a problem. Pain was a problem. I almost lost complete use of my right hand in my third semester of law school. I had 2 surgeries while I was in law school. I had dealt with COVID twice while I was in law school. Finances were a problem. All these other things, the things I feared could happen, all happened and then some. But at the same time, doors opened I could not see at the moment. Opportunities came that I didn't see at the moment. And if I had to go through it all again, I absolutely would, because it was totally worth it. So I say all that because it's so easy to say, okay, here's a guy, he seems to be pretty smart. He can string 2 sentences together. Law school doesn't seem that exceptional. That's not where I was before. And so many people out there right now who you don't see that potential in them because they've been beaten down by society. And it's so important that we help them strip away all that fluff and get to who they're meant to be.
Wow, what an incredible story. And I love how you talk about all the people that helped you get to where you needed to go. And it seems like you didn't have the confidence in yourself to go to law school and do the things that you did, but you borrowed somebody else's confidence just for a little while until you got your own. And now look where you're at. And you're taking all of that and turning it into a way where you can help other people at their time when they don't have confidence in themselves. How does that make you feel to be such an incredible person that's doing these things for others?
I don't even know that I look at it that way as much as I look at it as I'm just doing the best I can with what I have. I've been blessed to go through these experiences. I've been blessed with certain gifts. And as we were talking about before we started airing, I've been, not blessed with other gifts, namely administrative things. And so to me, it's about saying, I'm willing and I'm eager to offer what I have and hope that it makes a difference.
Hi, my name is Andrew Fraley, and I believe that sometimes we all need a little bit of help. If you're in the San Antonio community and you need some legal help, call me at 210-725-4658.
Well, it most certainly is making a difference. I don't think you have to hope for that one because it's happening like right now. It's incredible. Talk to us more about pieces. I know you alluded to that a minute ago. I want to hear how all that came to be and how you decided what it was going to be and how it was going to run.
Yeah. So I should tell your audience, everyone who's listening, we spell pieces, Peaces, Pieces of Me Foundation. And that's going to play in here because we are helping people understand that they're not missing a piece, Pieca, but learning how to discover the peace within themselves and among each other that really leads to healing. And so, Christy and I actually don't agree on much. We have very different worldviews, and that's a good thing because we are united in the idea that we can tackle the stigma that surrounds disabilities of all kinds, and we can do it by bringing people together to have real, rich, vulnerable conversations that lead to changing minds and changing hearts. You don't have to do it by blaming people. You don't have to do it by shaming people. You do it by saying, I want to hear your perspective. I want to share my perspective. And I want to work together to address the systemic lack of accessibility and inclusion that exists in our society.
And that's so needed. It's so, so needed. So talk to us a bit about what you do to do that for others.
So we host a variety of, whether it be webinars or we appear on shows like this, or we also go out into the community and do community education events. And what is important in my mind about that last one is we don't go in and say, hey, Mr. or Miss person across the table, here's what you should know, all these rote facts. We say, if you're willing to meet with us and speak with us, we assume good intent. So don't worry about saying or asking the wrong thing. There's grace here. Help me understand where your mind and your heart are at. What questions do you have? What pain points are you experiencing in trying to become more inclusive? Let me make sure that you feel properly heard. And then let's dive into the issue at hand and try to help you create more accessibility within your sphere of influence. So it's a lot less about telling people what to do and a lot more about setting the stage for them to make their own discoveries and really find a kind of allyship that is authentic and relevant to them.
I love that. Yeah, it's a lot of listening and asking. We were just looking through your website just now, and it shows a really beautiful image, and then says to ask how people are doing, ask what you're doing, to talk and listen. And I just think that's so, so important. And it's such a big thing about what you're doing, because you're not just giving somebody a bunch of check boxes saying, what you need is this, this, and this. You're saying, what can we do to actively help you? And I bet that makes a big difference.
It does. And there's another quote that I know we're going to be showing from Stephen Covey, author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. And I love that because I thought for the longest time that advocacy required me to center my trauma. And I've learned that while my trauma is real, I don't say that in jest, there's real trauma there. But I've learned that if I can put it in its place long enough to meet someone else where they are and try to find out, again, where is their perspective? Can I understand where they're coming from? Seek to understand where they're coming from, and then strive to be understood. Now we're not talking past each other. Now we're not waving accusations or being triggered. We're having a conversation as real human beings who want to make the world better.
I love that too. Yes, absolutely. And the quote that you shared as well, really, it's so many people They talk more than they listen. And I think that's beautiful if you listen more than you talk. I always jokingly say we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so we can listen more than we talk.
Absolutely.
So tell us what's going to happen next for you.
So we are launching something called the Access Opportunity Tour, and we're going to begin with a pilot program. So we're going to be going out there seeking to talk with other nonprofits, schools, houses of worship, small businesses, anyone who is in a position of authority and says, I want to be more inclusive, I want to be more accessible, but I don't want to compromise what I'm doing or sacrifice standards. Let's talk. Because I bet you in an hour, I can't solve all of your problems, but I can create the stage for an epiphany, and we can use that as a launching place. So that's what we're doing over 2026 is we're going to take as many of those conversations as we can, and we're going to create space after space after space wherever we can where there's real momentum happening and we can leave our fingerprints.
Oh my goodness. Well, this show is generally all about little gives, but my goodness, this is such a big give and such a big deal that really helps a lot of people. I just think it's incredible.
Thank you. And to me, it's a little give. I can log on to Zoom for an hour and I can have a conversation with another interesting person. And before you know it, we've accomplished something. The tagline for that particular project is "Make a friend, move a mountain," and I really believe that's what we're doing.
Oh, make a friend and move a mountain. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I love everything that you're about. Can you give the audience an example of a little thing that they could do in their community that might just be a little give on their end, but might make a big impact on the other side?
I'm going to go back to asking questions and just creating a real rapport with the people around you. I come across a lot of people when I'm out in the public who have become afraid to engage on the topic of accessibility, and it actually ends up making a really awkward situation. So obviously, time and place, let's not talk about alternative techniques while I'm crossing a busy road, but yeah, approach these conversations with curiosity instead of skepticism, and let's learn together.
Approach conversations with curiosity. Yes, absolutely. That's another great one. All right. Can you give the audience an example of a time in your life where somebody did something little for you that might have just been a little give on their end, but really made an impact on you and in your life?
I'm gonna go back to those two mentors who challenged me to significantly level up what I was doing. They were two mentors who were already professionally successful in their lives, and they offered, a few minutes here, an hour there, and poured into me and said, "We believe there's greatness inside of you, and we want to help it thrive." And it literally changed the direction of my life.
Another great one. Yes, and you never know who that person's gonna, be, right? So you could be talking to somebody at the grocery store and actually make them feel like that feeling you had whenever you appreciated somebody giving you that time and helping you. So I always think you just never know when those moments are going to be. So you should openly do little gives for others all the time.
Yep.
Yes. So if somebody out there is watching this episode today and they say, "Oh my goodness, I love pieces of me, I want to help them," how could they best help you?
So there are volunteer opportunities and ways to support us financially on our website, which is Pieces of Me, and again, that's PEACES of me.org. And I always say, look, we love it when people are able to offer either time, talent, or treasure. And what that means is going to vary by person, but I will say everyone has something to give that is valuable. So reach out to us on the website, on social. You can find me personally on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to help you individually figure out how to be part of this and make it meaningful to you.
Wonderful. So the best way for people to reach you would be through social media. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm Daniel Hodges JD on LinkedIn, or you can email me at daniel@piecesofme.org.
I love it. For everybody who's watching this episode today, please do reach out, find out more. And if this nonprofit is something you're passionate about, visit their website. And if you can, go make a donation. $1 or $5 multiplied by the many, many people watching this episode today will make a huge impact to this nonprofit. Thank you so much for being on, Daniel. And thank you to everybody who's watching today. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode of Little Give, head on over to our website. At littlegive.com, you'll be able to find all the information about previous episodes and past guests that we've had on. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on Little Give, all the information is also on the website. And if you have a nonprofit that you love and would like to recommend be on the show, all of that information is also on the website. We really appreciate you watching today, and we can't wait to see you again next week.